Hello, and welcome to It's Already In You podcast. We are your hosts, Liz
and Jenine, nutrition and movement experts, mothers and business owners, obsessed with helping you quiet the noise of diet culture.
Seeing through the false advertising and promises of our food and fitness industries, helping you discover that everything you need to upgrade your health and well-being is already in you.
Hey everyone, today we're coming on and we figured it's fall and we're resetting and regrouping and starting to reorganize things. And I think we always come back to the point that if our foundations aren't solid, if we don't understand how to have that good base for our health, then it's not going to matter what we do or what we try to add or what we try and put in. So without even talking about all the noise, all the, frills and pills and magic potions, we want to just talk and chat with you today about the foundations and how important it is to optimize those, because if you have a weak foundation, then nothing is going to help your health or improve your feeling of stability in your health and overall well-being. So we're going to chat all things foundations today.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, definitely if you've been listening to us, we say that word a lot, foundations, your roots, the things that really are already in you. But really, what does that mean? And we wanted, like Jenine said, to give you a really simple outline of what that means, that it's non-negotiables, that this is how we are created, this is how humans and the earth and everything really are meant to work together. And so without overly explaining, we hope that at the end of this episode, you can clearly and simply understand what those foundations are. Because if you are committed to those, consistently committed long-term, that is where you're going to get your greatest results in your entire life forever. That's where health is coming from. And so, like Jenine said, we overcomplicate it. We've talked about it. We'll continue to talk about those overcomplications. But today, it's really just like what it is that you need to be committing to on a daily basis for your overall health, mindset, mental health, physical health, well-being, longevity, all of those things. Yeah. So let's start to just go back and forth. I believe we didn't even talk about really this ahead of time because I think we really know that we're so much on the same page about this. Yeah. But let's start to just talk about what those foundations are.
And guys, simplify it to the point, like imagine building this beautiful house on a weak foundation.
Yeah.
Like the house is just going to crumble.
Yeah.
So we're going to take you to the very basics of this just so that you can sort of audit your own foundations and what's going on in your like most basic health.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would you say is one of those first bricks of your foundation? Sleep. Yes. Yeah.
So sleep, and we've probably beaten this up many times, but rest and recovery and adaptation and repair, those are where all those things, hormone balances happen. So without adequate sleep, then your nutrition, your exercise, none of that is going to help. It's going to you're just going to be in this recycle of your body trying to recover and reset. So it's really important that we get a really good, solid night's sleep.
Yeah. And like Jenine said, without the recover and kind of reset on a daily basis, eventually over time, your body starts to break down without enough sleep. And so as we move through stages of our life, like anything, there is no one set time for everybody all the time. You see kids and teenagers and adults and elderly people, their sleep needs are going to change as their days change, as their bodies are changing. I have a 13-year-old son whose body is literally changing every day. Yep. He wants to sleep a lot, and it's because of those changes. If you have a lot of output, you need more rest and recovery than you would if you didn't.
Right.
And so to think about sleep that way is like, what does my life look like and how can I support it, through allowing myself to really kind of settle back into a space that can feel optimal, not that I am like running on fumes all the time. It's one of my worst feelings to get up every morning, which thankfully I don't because I prioritize sleep. But like when I do get up in the morning and sleep hasn't been there for me, and I'm like, the first thought is like, how am I going to get through today? Like you're thinking about when you get to go back to bed. And that's like a lot of people. That is a lot of people. I love sleep too. And it's like one of my thankfully strongest habits. All these foundations, I'm not like, I have struggles too. Right. We both do, but sleep is one that is like non-negotiable. Like I can't operate. I think probably maybe for both of us for so many years, we taught like, 5 a.m. classes.
And I'm not a morning person.
Yes. Yeah. So,
I think sleep is so different for everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, for everyone, like it's just such an individual thing. Like some people can get up at the crack of dawn and go to bed at 7 p.m. And that's just the way that their body works. I really think that there's a lot that has to do with like there's internal clocks. And I know like in your family, you can tell like Brian and Dylan are like more early risers where me and Madison could sleep until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I still like, even at my age now, can sleep if you let me sleep. I mean, now I wake up at like, because I'm so used to getting up early, but I can like stay in bed and go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
Like when I have to wake up at 5 a.m., I'm like, how many sleeps until I get to sleep in?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's important to know about yourself. I 100% agree. We're like kind of predisposed to a morning person or a night person. So if you know that about yourself, you have to kind of create that system or choices to be able to figure out, one, how am I going to, get to bed if I'm a night person? Like I have to go to sleep because my job is forcing me to get up at 6 a.m. So even though I would love to watch TV until like midnight because that's just where I kind of settle in, the real world kind of kids, all of that stuff is saying, nope, you got to get up at this time. Yeah. So then how are those choices kind of starting to like massage into your real life? Because that is one of those things that is not a choice. Like in order to really thrive and to have all the wheels spinning in a really good momentum, you need to have sleep. And there's some things within that, like going to bed at a similar time every night, waking up within a similar period every day, having a sleep regimen. And we've talked about this in other episodes, but having a wind down, those are all tools in your toolbox. Our message through this episode is they're non-negotiable. Like you can figure out how to make it work within your life, but it needs to have a priority space in this block.
Yes, absolutely.
So sleep. What's another brick that we're laying down?
Movement.
Yes.
Which is really important. And I think we overcomplicate movement.
100%.
I think it's all important, like when we speak to strength and we speak to cardiovascular exercise, when we speak to just activities of daily living, like I think that everything has a place. When we get into what's trending or what's going on in the world, we always like fall to one specific modality of exercise. And you'll hear us say throughout many episodes that there's a place for all different types of exercise, depending on what your body needs and what your specific goals are, right? But there still should be a variety of types of movement. But at the same time, I think that we shouldn't be overcomplicating it. Like if it's 10 minutes after a meal, if it's 5 minutes in the morning, if it's dancing around your house as you're cleaning, if those are the only ways you can get movement in, then I think that we need to start to just think of it like that rather than, just be a part of your life. Like if you can walk to the post office instead of drive there, then you're optimizing your health by doing that.
I think of movement and exercise as two different things. Yeah. Exercise is like I'm carving out a block, I'm signing up for a class, I am really creating a focused choice for a specific training goal or visual goal or a little bit of everything. Movement today for me is just being an active person. Again, this is a brick. This is non-negotiable. We were born to be active animals, humans. And so, like Jenine said, when you separate those two thoughts, because a lot of times we put them together and don't realize, like, no, you can just move. And you don't have to exercise. Or if you do go to that 1 hour class, it doesn't mean you can sit around and take the elevator instead of the stairs all the time, or do all those things. So if you can kind of separate the two, and make movement, being an active person, walking for 10 minutes, parking a little bit further, all the things that you guys have heard before, but just regularly moving your body, and then focused exercise is in addition to that. Because what exercise tends to be for people is 3 times a week for an hour or 4, like it's not every day we need to move our body. Every day we need to be walking. Every day we need to be thinking about mobility and how we're carrying ourselves through this earth. And so those are 2 different blocks. And the movement block is like roots. Like, you got to do it.
Our bodies are meant to move.
Yeah. And when they don't, they start to, again, like the sleep, break down.
And know, too, that the benefits of movement are like innate. Like our lymph system, our 100%. Insulin resistance, there's so much to the benefits of moving. And you have to think that, if you don't move, there's so many things that are not happening. It's not just weight loss or, the vanity of exercise. It's your bodies need to move. They're designed to move.
Yeah. And thinking like you can have the freedom or give yourself the freedom to release the pressure of the noise of exercise when it comes to movement. Believe us, this is our bread and butter is exercise and getting you guys to come to classes and training because we believe in it so much. But that can be confusing and that can be overwhelming, and that can be, I'm doing it for 3 months and I fall off the wagon because it's winter or I'm on vacation. So again, the beautiful thing about movement is it doesn't cost money. You can do it inside. You can do it outside. You can do it for 5 minutes. You can do it for 30 minutes. You can do it, if you are completely out of shape, quote unquote. You can do it at any age. Just moving your body. You can lie on the floor. You can do it with things you have around your house. Whatever it might be, that is beautiful to me, is that it is so freeing. It can just be anything. It doesn't need to be timed. It doesn't need to be counted. Just be an active human. And what you get from that, like Jenine said, is so much with our body systems working, but it also is like better sleep. Supports the other foundations, mental health, all of those type of things, digestion, all of those things come from movement. And you'll see how each of these blocks that we're talking about today really work with each other. And when one is left out, it impacts the rest.
Yeah. And some of you that are like avid exercisers, take an audit of how much you move throughout the day without thinking about your structured exercise. Because I feel like I see that a lot too, that there's people that, they go to the gym and they work out vigorously for 45 minutes or an hour or whatever it is, but then for the rest of the day, they're in a seat and they're at a desk and they're sedentary. And I really think that movement may be even more important than that vigorous exercise once a day. Right.
100%.
100%.
And you're moving in day-to-day life in how your body is meant to move. If you're going to the gym, which is awesome and a compliment too, but often you're moving in a one-dimensional or a couple, you're doing a specific type of workout or taking a spin class or taking a Pilates class. That's great. Yes. But then if that's all you're doing, you're missing a lot of essentially like sides of your body, specific movements, picking up, rotation, all of that stuff. But you do that all day long when you're moving your body. Yep. So you are reinforcing like, yep, you're still there. You're still working. I'm still working you. I still need you. So movement, I would say, is I think they're all super important, but movement is so important.
Yes.
And probably because, again, we do this for our job. We can see day in and day out how that impacts those of you who are even working out. If you add in more movement, your workouts are going to feel better.
So much better.
And your workouts will complement your day-to-day movement.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So let's do another block. I'll throw one in. Relationships. So that's a big one for me. I think it was last week's episode, the new one of this season, is it's often easy to get super busy and not prioritize relationships or stay longer in ones that don't fuel you, whether it's work relationships, friendships, romantic relationships. Those all have impacts, right?
Yep.
Whether you are kind of isolated and lonely and not getting fueled by positive relations and love and conversation and partnership and whatever that might look like for you. And it looks different for all of us. But if we're not in having connections regularly with people that make us kind of light up and you can kind of share experiences, like-minded goals, learn from, feel love from, that is lonely. That is depressing. That is, lack of some sort of light in your life. And then on the flip side, like if you are in relationships that are creating lots of stress, lots of turmoil, lots of anxiety, emotion, all of those things.
It'll affect
everything. Yeah. And you just lose your way. I think I can say probably confidently, we've all been in those relationships at one point in life or those set of circumstances. And it really is consuming, and slowly or quickly, we start to lose the focus, like you said, on other things.
Yeah. And there is research too, like how hug from somebody that really loves you and that you care about, how that hug can like affect your hormone levels, your cortisol level. Like there is like real truth and science behind how important it is to have the good relationships and what a bad relationship can do.
Totally. And like the communication, I think like, think of when you guys are out with like a girlfriend or, you go and connect to somebody in like a class or, maybe a hobby or the gym or whatever. And you just have this conversation, you just leave and you feel like lighter. Yeah. Or you have a disagreement with your spouse and you guys sit down and you talk about it in a productive way. You leave feeling like, yes, like we connected. I'm not being seen or being talked over or whatever. It's that like connective kind of piece that like you feel like I want to say the word productive. Yeah. But I think it's maybe like forward movement. Like, I think poor relationships or lack of relationships often make you feel stuck or heavy or just like not that movement forward. And I think when we have that communication, even in situations that might not be the greatest, but it's like a good communication, you feel like you are okay, like I can move this forward or I can exhale through this or I can release this. And that really is life. And to surround yourself with people that also kind of operate that way and prioritize that, I think is super important.
Yeah, even community that is supportive and motivating to help you reach goals or things that you have similarities, the alike, that if you are with a community that is all dealing with the same thing you are, whether it's kids off to college or menopause or kids going back to school or your kindergarteners or whatever it may be, or it's, maybe there's an illness that you had that you're in a group that everyone understands the symptoms that you've gone through or whatever that is. That community and that ability to lean on other people can really improve your overall well-being. Just like the opposite could really be a detriment to your health.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of times people separate the two with like, that type of stuff with like eating or movement or whatever. Yeah. And I think that's related. So important, and it really motivates you to do those things. I know, like you said, groups and stuff like that. If I'm surrounding myself with like-minded people, I'm inspired and motivated to be a part of, which is awesome. Okay, another one.
Another one, probably our favorite, is nutrition.
Yes.
Yes. And I feel like nutritional, it's probably for me, when I look around, when I'm working with clients, when I, just generally speaking, when I think what affects us the most on a cellular level is nutrition.
Yeah.
So if we can't get that straight, and that's a really important, another thing that we could probably do a whole nother episode on, the basics, the foundations of nutrition. Nutrient dense whole foods, they're going to stabilize your blood sugar, provide minerals, vitamins, all of those things support your gut health, which again will go into all of our foundations, so and affect all of our systems. So really important to take a look at, it's so easy for us to say, oh, I haven't been feeling really good, but I haven't really changed anything. But you don't notice that really, because fall is here and now you're back to a structured schedule and you don't have as much time to meal prep. And now you're falling into the eating out a little bit more, right? Things like that can increase a lot of ingredients that you don't want in your food. They can increase things like processed foods and sodium and sugars and stuff that we really don't want to be in our meals, even when you think you're eating healthy, when you start sourcing your food from restaurants and eating out and delivery. That is going to happen automatically, right? So really thinking about ways to keep it still whole food based and nutrient dense foods, and how to make sure that our diets are an abundance of what's going to give us the more nutrient dense and the less calorically empty, calorie dense foods.
Yeah. I mean, food is like your greatest communicator. I think in addition to that, the nutrient dense foods is the variety, making sure you're getting all of your macros, nutrients. And we're not big, huge fans at all of like counting, but to make sure that you're looking at your plate and you have fruits and vegetables and healthy fats and proteins and stuff like that, that you are, making sure that there is different colors and textures and all of those things in all of your meals through the day. And what I see a lot with clients who are already kind of in a space where they're aware of good or better than choices, often they will have frustration because they're like, I'm eating well. And when I look at their like meal plan or whatever they write up for me, it's pretty good. Like it has a lot of good choices. What I see often is they're saying to me, I'm super stressed. I'm not sleeping. I'm like running on fumes in all other areas of my life. And so knowing that all of these bricks are the bottom kind of tier where everything kind of grows from, you can have, and I think people prioritize diet and exercise. Like I'm doing diet and exercise. Why do I still feel like this? And often sleep and stress and those things are just like, oh, I can control it, or it's not that bad, or whatever. And so digestion, gut health, all of those, immune health, all of those things are benefited by a great diet. But if you're eating well regularly and you're not supporting your systems that digest and absorb the food, it's just kind of landing, right? You're not optimizing what you're eating. And so if you are finding yourself like, I just don't understand. And you can look at your life and say, okay, I'm sleeping regularly 5 to 6 hours a night. I'm scrolling my phone before I go to bed. I am in some relationships that don't feel good. I have a lot of high and low emotions happening. I am kind of strapped to my desk for 9, 10 hours a day, hunched in front of a computer.
Your body's going to tell you.
Your body's and it is telling you by not optimizing this amazing food that is your priority. So, so I find that actually happening a lot, and especially with women, they're just like, I'm just so frustrated. I'm doing this, and to take a step back. And I think when you say to someone like, look at what your stress is, like it's hard for people to stop doing what is creating stress in their life. Sometimes it's their job, and they're just like, this is my livelihood. Like, how am I supposed to get a new job? How am I? This is the demands. Sometimes you're in a relationship, a marriage, a work relationship. How am I supposed to change that? Like, this is just where
sometimes it's not even, they don't even recognize that
they
it's
don't
happening.
even recognize it, which is, again, part of that like noise of the world is things have become stress has become so normal. Like you talk to someone, they come into a room and they're like, oh my God, there's so much traffic and blah, 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 blah. And it's not even like stress where you're like, it's terrible. It's just like a lot all the time. Yeah. And so if you are eating well and that you're prioritizing that, and or maybe that's something that you need to work on, just know that your systems need to be running smoothly and regularly in order to move that food along, in order to pull the things that our body needs from it. Yes. But yes, food is like right there.
And I think to go along with nutrition, hydration and minerals are really important to just check in on. Like proper hydration supports your digestion and your cellular function and energy. And many people mistake like being thirsty for fatigue or cravings. And, a lot of times I see people, this happens a lot, that they hit plateaus, but it's a lot to do with their hydration. Yeah. And we think like, oh, we're carrying around these 3-gallon jugs with us and we're good, right? But if you don't drink it, then you're not hydrated. And then it depends on, obviously, the water and the quality of the water, because if it doesn't contain minerals, then you might need to add those back in. And that's happening to a lot of my clients. They're filtered waters, or they're drinking a lot of bottled water, and they're not getting the minerals that they used to. And just that simple fix of, putting a little Celtic sea salt or something into the water just to add a little bit of the minerals back in can make a huge difference in how you feel, and that less fatigue at the 3 p.m. mark, or, and it has to do with hydration, not that, you ate lunch at noon. It's just that you're not hydrated, or maybe it was the coffee that you had after 12 o'clock that's making you feel like you had that high and now you're hitting a low. But really thinking about that is, I think, something that should be at the top of your thought process when it comes to like, why am I feeling like this throughout the day? If my nutrients are great and I'm, eating well and all of those things are good, let's take a look at hydration.
Yeah. Definitely. I think it's like one of those things too. Like if you're not used to being hydrated, you don't even know you're not hydrated until you have made a commitment for a period of time to really.
Like, wow, I feel so good.
Yeah, I didn't know that was this, or that like headache I got, or that fatigue or whatever. So if you're in question of that, if you're not seeing a glass of water near you regularly through the day, or you don't find yourself, drinking it at most parts of your day, then take a second, figure out what that looks like, and see the difference, because it really will. And then hydration also helps digestion and breaking down fiber and breaking down the foods that you're eating. And again, it's all a plan. Like our bodies are science. Like we were created with a plan. So
when you start thinking about that, it's like magical.
And I like see the whole inside of the body, and like all like how everything has a place and a role and a purpose. And then, food was created, science, God, however it was meant to be ingested. And then that was meant to, and hydration was meant to be like, it's all wicked awesome. But like if we start leaving things out, then things are, again, not all going to work together.
I had someone say to me yesterday, too, that, it's so hard. They go to the grocery store and things don't look good. And they don't taste like they used to taste, right? And it's so interesting. I think that a huge part of that is like in season and knowing what you're buying. And like you said, everything was made for a reason. Like when you get down deep and you think about what foods come out seasonally, like when it's cold season, vitamin C is starting to be a seasonal fruit. Like it's so intriguing to me. Of course, this is what we love, so it's easy for us to say it. But if you really think about things like that, and when food, the right times that your body needs things, and if you ate in season all the time. Like, think about how much fresher that food would be, that fruit, that vegetable would be if it was in season rather than traveling for 500 billion miles. But thinking about those things, like, okay, if stuff is not tasting the way it normally is to me, like what is it that it could be? Is it because it's not as in season? Is it because I'm eating a lot of artificially flavored things that now the real flavor doesn't even do anything for me anymore, right? Like, really thinking about that, I think it's just, I don't know, it makes me like so intrigued to think about how the body just knows.
It just knows. Yeah. It will send you signals and it know. Yeah. And it does. And, unfortunately, and hopefully we have faith, this continues to change, but the food industry and growing and soils and all of those things are becoming so much harder to get high quality foods. In most grocery stores, you really have to seek it out. And so often it's somebody like you or I or someone who really does seek it out that can taste the difference clearly. Where if you are getting apples, just generic apples with the wax and all this stuff on it, then that becomes your normal, and you'll probably taste something different when you get the fresh one when you're apple picking, and you're like, oh my God, this is so good. Yeah. That's what your body craves. Okay, another block, nature, sun, being outside, necessary. Our bodies have this like rhythmic connection with light and nature and, grounding, all of these things that come from being outside in all seasons. I mean, before we started to record today, Jenine was talking about her dislike for the colder months, which it can be challenging to get outside. It can be challenging. That's seasonal depression and, the sun and how it makes you feel and touching the earth and all of those things. Like, you can really see the impact that makes, especially if you live in like New England or colder climates, because it is so powerful to be outside and to be in nature and to be removed from pavement streets and all of that stuff. We went up to New Hampshire, my family and I, a couple weeks ago, and my kids kept being like, it's so dark out. And it was just because we were like in the woods. We had a house like that had just the woods, and you can't hear anything, and you can hear the animals and you can see the stars. And, it just reminds us that we don't have those experiences very often. And often, maybe not to that extreme, driving, up to the mountains, but like in day-to-day life, choosing walking, finding a trail in the woods, or, creating a habit that's outside, or simply just sitting on your steps with your face to your sun for 20 minutes.
Feels so good.
Feels so good. And there is such a therapeutic cellular response to being outside that you cannot replicate in heated lamps and all of this stuff. We create these things to try to replicate what nature does for us, and it can be helpful. It can be a tool to be a better than, not at all. But getting outside is free. Yeah. Getting outside is maybe being a little uncomfortable in the beginning, but figuring out how to learn to love that season or that whatever period in your way. But I feel it. It's like my therapy is being outside.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love it. I read, of course, this person is a billionaire and can do this in their life, but imagine waking up to like circadian rhythm. When the sun rises, your shades rise in your house, and you get to walk outside into your organic, field where you live, and place your feet on the ground and be grounded with the earth and see the sun, and you can have breakfast outside, and think about those things and how they would feel to you. And because how that would feel, just even thinking about it, it actually really does have so much benefit to it.
Yeah.
Obviously, not many of us have the luxury of waking up every day and putting our feet in the organic soil or anything like that. Or having the shades draw down as the sun goes down, or eat before the sun goes down. Most of us are flying home, skidding into the driveway and trying to make dinner before bedtime.
Yeah.
which, you know, is really hard. Like that's the other thing, is trying to get those meals in and really get a system that your nutrition and your sleep and all of these foundations that we're talking about can complement one another and be able to be beneficial to one another, because they do affect each other so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you say that, like, I get this like feeling of we give ourselves too many excuses.
Yeah.
Because as we're saying this, and I'm not saying it as like I do all the things all the time, but I really live this way.
Yeah.
And it really is not that hard. And it's just making simple choices. And the choices usually are to get off the couch, get away from the TV, put my phone down, not sit in my car and go for a walk while my kids are at practice. Like, it doesn't really have to do with like flipping my whole world upside down. It's, you know, creating maybe some systems, but most of the time it's taking something that I consider maybe I'm just resting right now, or I just, you know, I'm kind of like numbing myself out some way, whether it's not doing anything or scrolling my phone or just like whatever. And if I put that down, or I go sit outside and do it, or bring a book, or, you know, just create a little bit of a different system, nothing really changes. Like, because your body wants this stuff, and it doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't take, you know, money. It just is making a choice. And so, you know, you see these memes, like the funny ones, like, and I think both of us are getting like a lot of like menopause type of stuff, but it's like, okay, get up in the morning and eat your protein and do this and do this and do this and do this and do this. And then also take care of a kid and do this. Like, there are definitely some things in life where it's like, holy crap, like how can I keep adding these things in? I really feel a strong different thought when it comes to your foundations, because they're so innate in us just being humans that our body receives.
We've just gone away from them.
Yeah, receives them so easily. And yeah, there might be a couple times when you have to say no to stuff. Like, I am going to turn the TV off at 9. I'm going to, I mean, like, think of those, like, think of how wild those things, we are talking about our health and well-being, our longevity, and a lot of times you're coming up against those simple things. I'm turning my TV off. I'm putting my phone down.
Choices.
I am grabbing this at the grocery store. You're not up. I'm going for a walk at lunch at work, you know, to diminish stress instead of, you know, sitting there behind my computer. Little things, we just overcomplicate it. And I really do think it's really simple.
Yeah.
I really do.
I agree.
And so my last block that I wrote down is having a sense of faith, belief, God, something that connects us to something bigger than ourselves. I believe that, you know, having that as a foundation is really a strength when it comes to living a life of purpose, and to be able to foster that and connect with that. And a lot of times for people, it's just being a good person, doing things for others, coming outside of your life, like stepping outside of yourself and thinking of something greater, finding hope, giving back, having some sort of connection of the greater purpose. And so that looks different for everybody, but it's hard to like take on life and all the things that come with it, all the tasks, all the jobs, all the responsibilities, these foundations, and not have a connection with kind of like a greater sense of purpose. And again, that looks different for everybody. It might be your path in life, what you want to accomplish, what you want to leave behind, what you want to imprint on people. That could be your connection with a higher power, whatever that is. I think that that's important to fuel, because it gives us so much purpose outside of our day-to-day. Like, I have to do this, check the box. I have to do this, check the box.
Right.
Why are we doing this?
Yeah. I think that connects to, my last block that I had written down was stress and mindfulness.
Yeah.
But I think those two things are really connected, because the spirituality of just feeling that there is a greater purpose is obviously something that's going to make you more mindful, more intentional about the way that you act, the way that you treat your body, the way that you want to treat others, and that, so it's like almost a full circle, even though all of these things again are related and affect each and every one of them. I think those two things specifically have a huge connection.
Yeah, for sure. The stress, that's also kind of like wrapped into this too for me. I wrote it down, but like when you are in community and in communication, and you believe, there's a lot of scary news in this world, and there's a lot of things that happen, and when there is a sense of hope, or a sense of action, or a sense of this area of my life, at least I can create an impact, whatever that it is, that kind of can walk with you, this space that you can create can kind of move with you through like the hard times, I think then diminishes stress, and then it impacts your relationships, and then you're feeling a little bit lighter, and then your mental health's a little bit better, and then you have the space in your life to say, I'm going to go to the gym today, or I'm going to pick out these foods because I'm not feeling so blah. It just really is such a strong structure that we have within ourselves, all of these things combined, where, really anything is possible because we have the clarity, and we're looking up, and our eyes are a little bit brighter, and we have the energy, and we have the space to receive when things come into our lives that we're not going to if we're unhealthy, tired, run down, stressed out, head down, shoulders slumped. You can open your heart and take a deep breath, and all of those things. Ultimately, I feel like that is it. Yeah. That is our movement forward. All of those things together.
And like you said, again, just accumulating all of these things, putting them together, like the chronic stress, it keeps your body in that fight or flight. You can't digest food well if you're in that fight or flight. You can't, even with a perfect diet, that stress is going to disrupt that harmonious or more homeostatic place that where our bodies should be in. It steals energy from you, and it disrupts your recovery. So again, putting all of those things together and realizing that you have to have one with the other, with the other, with the other. You cannot take these foundational blocks that we've spoke to and not have concern for all of them.
Yeah, you can't pick and choose.
You can't. You have to have them all. And like you said, they're very innate to us. They're what we're supposed to. They're just what we, evolved to be and do. But we've gotten so far away from that. Just like you said with artificial sunlight. I mean, we've gone from doing these things to artificial flavors in our food, to artificial sunlight to make us feel better, to medicine,
walking on a treadmill,
artificial walking. Everything has changed, and now to just come full circle and say whoa, what if I just? And I swear, I must say this so much. In even talking about all of these things individually, but back to the basics. Bring it back to the basics. When you have question about anything,
just look at this and be like, what do I need to support more?
Yes.
Yeah.
Audit all of these things and say to yourself, how can I change each of these things to benefit all of them?
Yeah.
For the whole better good of my well-being.
Yeah. Yes. And teach them to your children.
Yes,
I think that, prioritizing them getting outside and movement and eating and sleeping. And
I just heard they're bringing phones back. Did you hear that?
To where? Schools?
Phones back to homes.
Oh, real phones. Yes. Yes.
Think about that. I think that would be such a great thing for our kids.
I mean, I think of kids up and coming. I think the kid who already has a cell phone in their hand is probably gonna be why am I tied to a wall? But yes, I feel that is.
How do I use this?
Yes. Yeah.
All
right.
Auditing your foundations before, I think we should just end with the fact that obviously we're going to reinforce it's already in you every single time.
Sure.
But thinking about how many hours of sleep you're getting, do you move your body daily, not just in workouts? Is your plate made up of real whole foods? most of the time? Are you balancing stress and giving your nervous system downtime? Are you drinking enough water and replenishing electrolytes? Do you have amazing relationships and people in your life that make you feel good, right? And are you connected to something that makes you feel like you have a purpose and a reason? And just look inside yourself and see, just changing those things little at a time can make such a huge difference.
Huge difference. And when you said all those things, they all felt so good. They didn't feel daunting or like resistant to them. It just felt like that's what we're supposed to do.
Yes.
So hopefully this was helpful. Like Jenine said, we will always refer back to our foundations, which is one reason we wanted to really lay these out clearly. Because when we are talking about the noise or talking about the things that can kind of jack up our foundations, we wanted you guys to feel really, really clear on how you can choose something different and what that might look like. So hopefully this episode did that for you today, and they will continue to do that for you in the future. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys real soon.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.